Good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome to the WGL EU. It is Season 5, and it's Match Week 6. We are blasting through this one. We've got a bit of an extra special this week. We're having 3 show days instead of the regular 2, giving you extra tanks. There's nothing wrong with that. And, of course, I'm Lauren Panty-Scott, and I'm joined by the ever-delightful Oliver. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. Yeah, a bit strange to be back straight away after the first
I normally get a break
day,
from you.
But yeah, I mean, we're allowed outside of the cage just for a few seconds, usually in between the shows. But yeah, it's great to be back.
And of course, we still aren't joined by Melly, sadly, but we do have someone who's just as beautiful, just as lovely. Alex, how are you doing,
Just as
pal?
lovely. I'll take that. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm hopefully going to be able to promote the right channels at the right time, and hopefully you guys won't get too sick of my face over the course of these 2 games.
Impossible, man. Impossible.
Impossible. Thank you so much.
He's too handsome. You can't get too sad of him. But he will be our social media guru. So, Alex, why don't you take us through exactly how the people at home can get involved with us here in the studio?
Okay, cool. So if you want to come and talk to all of us in the studio, we can obviously see all of your tweets. So do tweet us at the easy-to-follow WGL EU. It's pretty much, if you see WGL EU, that's us. So over on Facebook as well, at WGL EU. Or facebook.com/WGLEU. Obviously, I'm going to be keeping my eye on Twitch chat as well. So I'm interested to see what kind of everyone's saying about the game as it progresses, and perhaps I might pick out a couple of nice comments as we go through the game. Also, it's worth mentioning, of course, if you are going to be looking for maybe some replays of after the game, do be sure to go to the YouTube channel as well. Something that doesn't get so much love sometimes, so do be sure to visit the YouTube, which is, of course, WGL EU as well.
Well, that's just about everything, I think. He's doing all right. I think he'll do okay for now.
I'll be okay.
All right. Be nice to him, guys and girls. And if you don't want to be nice, give him lots of feedback and a lot of abuse in Twitch chat. That's what you're there for, right? But anyway, be nice. Anyway, back to the tanks. We do have a lot of action coming up today. We have 2 games rather than the usual 3 because of scheduling. And obviously, we said that the Christmas time for the CIS kind of region is a little different to ours. So a couple of teams will be utilizing this as a short break to enjoy time with their families. Nothing too bad with that. But with that said, we did have a short break between where we left off and starting again in the new year, and why not refresh some of your memories as to how it went just before that? So good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome to the WGL EU Season 5, Match Week 5. So, Road, pivotal in this situation. The other 2 down to near 1 shots as the shells come in. Manza gets formed by International, and now Road gets ignored by Meritorious. He may be looking for burn here. He's going to be heading forward. Road to the right, but actually he swings around. International now has support. It's 2v1. Road from the side gets hit. International gets left to deal with him as Meritorious swings around with International, picks up the other kill, and now Road left in a 1v, well, far too many. As there we have it, International will deliver, and a great game from him against the Genti, both down to a 1-shot, and Apoel delivers finally. But Jack is full HP, 15 seconds left. He might be able to do this one for DRL.
He doesn't actually want to go into the corners because he doesn't want to get stopped and spotted out. Arclick misses that crucial shell as well. 7 seconds left.
7 seconds, they need to get him done and down fast. First shell comes in, 3 seconds left. They have to land this quicker. I don't think they've done it. DRL managed to pick it up, and Jack on the run. Kirex does take down Shanish, but replied with by the Annihilator. Finding Sensei as Kirex does go down, and this bit of a ditch effort has gone terribly wrong for DRL.
Yeah, they're actually losing a lot of tanks right now. There are only 2 tanks left on the board. Arclit is going to be able to get out of that one thanks to Apoel's perseverance and massive, massive blows left, right and center for DRL.
Genti's going to go down, and Schoolbus are back in the game, ladies and gents. We are now tied up at 4-4, pretty much. Kirex pushing forward, as is Sensei, but they're down on HP, they're down on tanks. This is not working out. Shanish found Kirex, and Schoolbus in the final moments look like they finally turned up. They take down Largo, leaving Agenti the last man standing, and there's nothing to be done here for Agenti. He knows it. Schoolbus taking it all the way, and then taking the win, and DRL, their hearts must be broken. 2 shells back to back, he needs the 3rd now. And he's going to get it. Nicely done by Purple Shift. That was perfect. And now it opens up. But Polluted did find Yukai. So a 1-for-1 exchange. But who's in a better position now to take it forward?
Well, Purple Shift is now big trouble. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get with this way one. But Vetso, Dersenik, they're heading around. So Jumbo, Vexo won't be able to do that. And Yisni is coming from behind.
And Poluted's out of position. He's not in a spot to help him out. Vetso's going low here. German Break goes down. And this has gone terribly wrong for Kazna. They negated the early damage. But now they're on the back foot. But Roster comes in. And now 2v3, they can still do this, but do they have the time? Do they have reload? Questions we'll find out very soon. Paluda and Ruster. Oh, he needs to be cautious here. Cautious as hell, Ruster. That was so lucky. 16 HP, 8 for Paluda. This should be over. No, Paluda! That was careless from Uralfish making that mistake. And Kazna crew do the damage. My God. And that meant the world for Kazna crew, stepping them up in those rankings drastically, back within the top 6 in that 4th position. So that was a massive win for them, and it was hard fought.
Very hard fought. I think that was the best games of yesterday's matches. They were absolutely fantastic, especially those ones on Cliff. I think it could have gone either way. TCM Gaming played really well. They just had quite a few errors here and there, little ones, not big mistakes, obviously ones they can fix up. But Kazna crew were just that one step ahead. I mean, I've got to give a shout out to Elian, doing over 2k damage in 2 of those rounds was just really, really fantastic for his team in that T49. So yeah, massive congratulations to them, of course.
I think everyone's going to be terrified of that man on that T49. He's truly making a real name for himself once again in this season. But outside of Kazna, there were a couple of changes, a couple of moves within the rankings. And let's take a little quick look towards that. Most notably, to my eyes at least now, is that Schoolbus are in touching distance of Virtus Pro. And with Schoolbus playing today, they could actually overtake.
But I thought Schoolbus would be able to, overtake Virtus Pro yesterday. They should have got the 3 points against Drooling Leprechauns. They did win in the end in the tiebreaker on Muravanka. They did take the 2 points, but Drooling Leprechauns can be happy with that result, taking 1 point off Schoolbus, the team that's been dominant in the European season. We said it over and over again. Fantastic result for them, considering they've been struggling for at least this part of the season. And of course, the other result was GG well played against Momentum. A little bit more one-sided than the other 2 games for sure. GG well played took all 5 rounds against Momentum. Yes, they had Momentum showed some promise.
They did.
But it was clear that they are outclassed in that game.
Can't agree more. So, and the other big thing, that we need to keep in mind is the next games played for those top 2. So, into today's games, we'll be watching Schoolbus take on DTQ. Now, that's an overmatch if I've ever seen one so far. DTQ have struggled this season, but then you've got to take into account Virtus Pro have to play Kazna next. That won't be on today's games. We'll have to reschedule that one later down the line. But 2 very different opponents for the top 2 teams. How do you think Schoolbus is going to do here?
Well, Deep Tranquility is right at the bottom, and Schoolbus is tied for first. So that's really the disparity we're seeing right now. So just on paper and pretty much anything else you can imagine, Schoolbus should take this one. But again, against Wusa, that was a 5-4 victory. And against Drooling Leprechauns yesterday, that was a 5-4 victory. So it's hardly like Schoolbus is doing that well this season. Deep Tranquility, they've lost every single match, as we said it before. And maybe they're going to be able to pick up their first one here. They've also going to have some roster changes, which could aid them, because certainly they're not doing much right at the moment. But for me, it's going to be how Schoolbus plays and if Deep Tranquility can actually challenge them.
Yeah, it's going to be a massive factor into this one. And I think map choice might be fairly substantial. Excuse me, I'd like to see maybe Cliff in there. I've always liked Mr. Chef in that T49, maybe doing some real damage going forward. So hopefully we can see those 2 going head-to-head very shortly. But let's look at the map pool we're actually going to see. Do we know the map we're going to be starting with? Yeah,
we're going to be seeing Steps first. Then we are going to be seeing Cliff. Steps is going to be defended, and then Cliff is going to be defended by Schoolbus. So that's the 2 ones we're seeing here. Quite interesting. I guess Schoolbus is kind of thinking that they did well yesterday in the defensive match that they played on Cliff.
That's true.
And they can win on attacking when they're going on Steps. And I would agree with them. They played fantastically in that match. But yeah, we're pretty much ready to go in game on this one. For me, I think, again, Steps, not a particularly great map for Deep Tranquility. They haven't really played it that much this season, and they haven't, had any good results on it. Whereas, 3 out of the 4 last times Schoolbus played on Steps, they did manage to pick the rounds up. So quite a good result for them, and it does kind of suit their dynamic play style, especially with Nuclear and that T54 lightweight. I can't wait to see what they're going to offer us here.
Yeah, I think Steps offers a lot of creativity to these teams. DTQ sometimes gets a little lost in that, I feel. Being quite the underdog in this, to say the very least. If they pick up, I'd say maybe a round, they should be fairly pleased with that. I know it sounds slightly harsh, but Schoolbus have always been quite good when you give them a little bit of creative freedom. They can start bringing a bit of personality to it within restraints. They're still, the very typical CIS kind of regional team where it is strict. It is kind of to the point, but they have that nice in-between balance. So hopefully once this game gets started, we can have a little look towards what they bring, what tanks we might be seeing as well. So another big factor going into that. Have we got them locked in currently?
Yeah, we're pretty much ready to get underway, and we've got the tanks here. Double Bulldog from DTQ alongside two MX-3090s, a 251 × 2, a Pershing, and finally that T69 American autoloading medium tank. And from Schoolbus, something a little bit strange, actually. We're finally, maybe not finally, but we are seeing the first inklings of those British Tier 8 tank destroyers coming out. Yeah, the Charlotte, classically English name, if I'm reading it right.
We'll have to double check.
Charioteer, even, not Charlotte.
Charlotte, huh?
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm reading into that a little bit too much. But yeah, the Charioteer, I've actually had a go at playing that one. Good, I mean, the gun's great on it. It does a lot of damage.
What could we compare that to, maybe, if we wanted to look at our standard way? Would it be more heavy? Would it be light?
I would say like an IS-3. It does 390 damage with that gun. It's basically got the FV4202's gone on that. It's 390 damage, 368 penetration, 268 penetration. Absolutely amazing. Yep. Quite mobile. I guess the one downside is it's actually quite tall. What the British quite like to do is just put big turrets on small tanks, overcompensating, I think. But yeah, it should it should be an interesting tank to see, and definitely could spice things up here. It's good to see that Schoolbus are willing to try and innovate. Because
I feel back in the days under the reign of a different leader, they weren't so willing to dabble. Yeah. They weren't so willing to try new things out. But Arclet at the helm, happy to pick up artillery on occasional maps, happy to try maybe a couple of new things, which it gives them an edge, because Verse Pro would never do that. They'd never be the first ones to try it out. They may wait to see, well, this works, it's viable, and then they incorporate it. But it's nice to see Schoolbus bringing that out. If you were going to predict a scoreline, what would you really go for? Because these two teams, they're very different. Let's put it on that way in results. Would you say this could be, I wouldn't say a close game, but do you think there's going to be any challenge here? Well, I would go for 5-1. Okay. But, I mean, Deep Tranquility, they've done okay. I mean, they took 3 games against TCM Gaming. They took 3 games against Wusa. Remember, Wusa beat Schoolbus here. So, if you look at it like that, they kind of have a chance. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised if they do only pick up that one round, because Schoolbus, they're down 2 games now. They haven't played too well, and I think they need to get themselves into the season, actually make sure that they are ending it on top of Virtus Pro. Well, we're going to find out momentarily. The teams are getting themselves just into game now, so it won't be taking too long. Make sure you use that hashtag WGLEU. Get involved on Twitter. As Alex said earlier, it's all down to you guys getting involved. Twitch chat as well. Let us know your predictions of scoreline, because the game is about 5 seconds away from going live into our first map. And it's going to be a good one. DTQ, it's all to do for them. Can they pick up anything in this game? We're predicting maybe a round here or there. But let's see if they can live up to that sort of challenge. So, in the north, in red, on defense, it will be Schoolbus, and in the south, in blue, it's going to be DTQ looking to try and either cap one of the 2 points or destroy the enemy team. And where are we seeing maybe Schoolbus heading towards starting off, and the same for the other side? So Schoolbus are going straight across the left side of the map. Quite normal, actually, from the south. We've seen a lot of teams do this. I want to be looking at Arclet and Armley with those 2 Charioteers, see if they can do any damage. You can see they really do have some speed.
They do have some speed. They can keep up with the likes of the MX-3090s and the 251s. Of course, they're a little bit slower, probably around a little bit faster than the Pershing, but nevertheless, a strong tank altogether, and we have to see how it works out. Nicholas back receiving, I believe, the first shell from one of those tanks, then down to 1058, as they did challenge early on, and very strange tactic from Deep Tranquility altogether, pushing through the middle, trying to assert some dominance there, and not really coming up with the goods right now. No, we'll have to wait and see what the end game is here. We haven't seen such a aggressive start from a defending side down towards the south like that, and I'm not sure how it's going to pay off. 505 is there, and previous season 505 has been quite the phenomenal player, but maybe not so into it this game. Already 1 shell has hit for Armley, so nicely done there, taking Nicholas Black down a little lower. So it seems these Charioteers are kind of doing their job. Panzerhunter taking a lot of damage as well, and at the moment, it just looks like Schoolbus are chipping away at DTQ. You got to remember those guns are actually tier 10. You were playing a tier 8 battle basically, but you're shooting with guns way over that. Great rate of fire, 8.6 seconds or somewhere thereabouts. As I said, 268 penetration, so you won't have to worry about that. Also, you got to remember they got Hesh ammo in there, which can do 480 average, and you will be penetrating quite often. So, really no cons to that vehicle in many respects. Just a little bit low on HP and that kind of jargon, but just an interesting start from Deep Tranquility. We haven't really seen this before. As I said, middle dominance. They're kind of keeping the pressure onto Schoolbus, but DTQ are at the moment defending, so they have to actually, keep Schoolbus at bay. They have to make the moves to actually force some kind of, advantage.
Yeah, and to be fair, if you're going to get the early damage towards someone, you'd probably want it towards Nicholas Black, who was in that Pershing. Quite hefty overall, so the HP slowly being worked down. And Cappy in a great little spot there, Neron being a tier 1 in the background, just keeping eyes on it. And these guys have literally switched position. And we'll be seeing Armley, that Charioteer, maybe looking for a little bit more. The opposing side of DTQ are stuck in the middle now, and if Shanish, Nuclear, Dead Hunter and Co can provide helping cover, then this should be a very one-sided match. But then again, to DTQ's favour, they are getting some shots in. Nicholas Black there delivers one towards Armley just before the reinforcements arrive. So far, fairly even here.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, DTQ have a lot of advantages. They have the high ground. They've also got Schoolbus cornered, and it's going pretty well for them. They're actually out-damaging Schoolbus in many respects, and also just out-positioning them. If they can get Hayu and the MX-1390 in a good place as well, this could go very badly for Schoolbus. And maybe being a little bit overconfident. Arclit receiving another shell in the Charioteer, but Cap has fallen, so first blood does go to DTQ.
Yeah, nicely done there. Cap was kind of out of position in a way. He was a little bit further back, but Arclit wasn't. Arclit takes a beating. Armley and Shanish going quite low. This could be the first real round going for DTQ. This could be a bit of an upset here, and those Charioteers just not quite fitting into the strategy just yet. Nuclear still in the tank that he loves, takes a shell though, as Dead Hunter looks like he wants to make his move with Apple out towards Nicholas Black, who is going to go down. So there's finally a 2-for-1 exchange, but it's still drastically in favor of DTQ.
Yeah, this is going very badly for Schoolbus. They're trying to retreat, they're trying to get themselves together, but at the moment I don't see a way back for them. They haven't really done too much damage, and they are struggling for sure. And I mean, you can see the HP on DTQ is absolutely fantastic, and you'll see DTQ now trying to surround, trying to engulf them and just take them down one by one. Apwal, of course, will be the first target. 5-5, just missing that one quite disastrously, but he will be backed up by the rest of his team.
Yeah, certainly coming in when it matters there, and now we'll be seeing the rest of DTQ moving forward. I like this. It's a more assertive side for DTQ. Shanish looks vulnerable, and that T69 will find the shell towards it. Now looking at the rest of Schoolbus, they are down to very few numbers, make it 2. As even Armley and Co will be out of the game here. Dead Hunter and Nuclear, the last 2 alive, very little to do. The guns are absolutely ripping them to shreds of the DTQ side. And this is not what I expected. Straight out of the gates, DTQ picking up round number 1 with a stunning performance.
Hashtag Caster's Curse.
Yeah, indeed. We should shut the hell up, right?
Well, first, we're okay right now. We said 1 round, so DTQ picking up the first one.
There we go. We called it. Nailed it.
We could still be right now, but yeah, I mean, it was pretty obvious that what happened there. Schoolbus overconfident. They did the standard tactic for at least the first minute, charging over towards the left, but then they just put themselves in such an awkward position in one position. And respect to DTQ. Going through the middle was really, really inspired. Most teams head over towards that trench side and kind of sit around there, but DTQ into the middle, it allows them to flank around, sit onto the top parts, and just snipe down Schoolbus. It was really, really good play by them. And
we've said that DTQ have sometimes missed a little bit of that execution, a little bit of the timing, a little bit of the confidence to follow up the initial strategy. That time, they looked very well asserted. They looked like they wanted to get into the fight. They knew when they had the advantage, and they wanted to push it further. And that's something we see sometimes missing. I've got to say it, I like the T69 in play. I like the Pershing. I like their lineup. Didn't really see much of those Charioteers coming in. No, it's a shame because they are, of course, the Queen and Country's tanks. Yeah, but it hurts us to say don't seem to do too well. I mean, I thought it was going to do well because the first initial damage came out by Armley. He did 382, which is a good start for him, but it was the worst position possible for them. They have no armor, they have no HP, they were on the lower ground, they couldn't snipe out, they couldn't get into those brawls. So, the teams have the options of changing tanks between rounds. At the moment, Schoolbus aren't switching out any of those tanks, so I can expect to see the same. I mean, of course, DTQ won't be changing anything because they won and it seemed to work out. As you said, the lineup was very good. But I would think Arclit and Armley would switch out those tank destroyers. I mean, yesterday we were talking about how Arclit was in that artillery for too long on Muravanka, and perhaps it even lost them 3 rounds against DRL that time. And maybe they should have actually picked up the 3 points if he didn't pick that. I mean, finally it worked in the last game, round, and it worked in the tiebreaker because he managed to get a decap. But I think in the final game it made sense because of that decapping ability. But in those other 4, I wasn't quite sure about it. It was a little bit sketchy. I agree. But yeah, I think
Schoolbus needs to take this game a little bit more seriously, because regardless of their previous results, this is still a WGL EU Gold Series team. And, you know, even if DTQ have lost all their matches so far, they're still a very, 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 very good team. I mean, these guys are the top 0.00001% of World of Tanks in general.
I think Schoolbus might have a rude awakening. We might finally see them taking a little bit more into account and seeing how well they kind of prepare themselves going into this second part. Excuse me. I think personally that I just don't think they expected any move from DTQ. Schoolbus just looked like they had their plan. They were taking nothing of the opponents into account, and they just assumed that they could bully them into that, which sometimes will work for Schoolbus. They can be that dominant force, but when someone like DTQ brings out this kind of left field play that they didn't expect, coming out from the east and moving down to the south and constantly pressuring them, there was very little reply there. So for me, I think Schoolbus might need to take a little bit of time to readjust, kind of just make sure they're aware of things that can happen, and just keep that in mind going forward, because they didn't even leave anyone down in the south to really keep eyes on it. Cap was down there for a short while, but he can't really do anything. It's not like they had a player down there of the caliber of Elian or Ko, who generally solos it, or Polo Mako, any of those players who like to play that central line just to watch in case you normally get those 230-90s coming around, let alone an entire team. So I maybe Schoolbus can make a little bit of a change. We'll have to wait and see, obviously. You guys at home, let us know your thoughts on that first initial play using that hashtag WGLEU on Twitter, and keep involved. We love hearing from you, of course, and it always keeps me happy and slightly sane. But,
well,
as much as can be expected.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to put it.
That's fair enough.
What's that, Alex?
Well, I was just...
You okay there?
This is universal sign for small, aka you're only slightly
Just like
sane.
Just like that. I'm only slightly
that
sane.
tiny amount of saneness.
Thank you, Alex.
Sanity, not saneness. That's not a word.
We'll add it. We'll add
We'll
it.
make it happen.
Saneness.
I miss Melly. Bring her back. She doesn't.
I'm
she doesn't
Mr.
abuse
Melly
me.
now,
You're
just so
Mr.
you know.
Melly.
Yeah.
Have you been given that title by Twitch chat?
Twitch chat have dubbed me Mr. Melly, and I will take it graciously. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's lovely.
It's a nice title.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Oh.
Talking
We
of
should
Twitter,
get both of them next to them on this desk. That'd be great.
Yeah,
just
Melly there.
squeeze us both in next to each other. No, but talking to Twitter, you were talking
Go
about
ahead.
asking for people's feedback. We've got two people actually offering their points of view. We had Skarnox saying Schoolbus will do it again today, maybe even a clean sheet. Well, not now. That's been kind of said and done. And also we saw Dimitar saying 5-2 for Schoolbus. So I think everyone's still got their confidence in Schoolbus for this one. If anyone does want to kind of join in on this discussion, or you want to have your tweets read out on the stream, maybe force your views on others, which social media allows us to do be sure to check out our Twitter, which is at WGLEU, and also on our Facebook as well, which is exactly the same, WGLEU. And Laura mentioned it earlier, our hashtag, which so we can see all of your tweets about the games going on. It's at hashtag WGLEU. So all of that, and we'll be reading your tweets out constantly throughout the games, and I hope to see you soon.
Indeed. So let's start looking at that game and see if your predictions will come true, because we are live into this one. And away we go. So into the server and into the game. In the north, in red defending, it will be DTQ. In the south, in blue, it will be Schoolbus. And looking at this so far, you can see Cappy and Shanish already just making sure there is no presence in the east.
Yeah, he's really making sure they don't want to get caught out in the middle again. And this time, it looks like DTQ are not playing the same card twice, instead going towards the right side. Panzer Hunter is doing that normal initial shot, some damage coming out from Armley and Arclip, and none actually connecting on any of the tanks from DTQ. Mr. Chef also having to scamper out of that position because some shells do fly his way from Chanish. And now, Schoolbus has a good idea where DTQ is, and this is where they can actually excel. Use that information, come around from many angles and find a way onto them. The best idea for them would probably be to use an AMX 3090, preferably Armley, Apwal even, send it into the cap, or even Cappy in that 5916. Put the pressure on there because 505 is not very close, and then just force DTQ to come out and then rotate around, making sure that they don't fall into any kind of southern trap. And maybe even just kill the tanks instead of going for that cap. It's a more standard tactic on steps, and it's proven to be quite effective.
Let's see if it comes into play this time. I got to give credit where it's due. At least Schoolbus this time took it into account. And you can see they clearly learn round by round. So the first one is still with DTQ, which is still baffling me to even consider. But, as we said, the Charity is still in play with Armley. Still in effect. Excuse me. I'm just still curious to see why they're sticking with this one. It's pretty because we didn't see it really come into its own on the first go. Maybe battle number 2 will see its eventual plan. And where do you think its ideal position will be for that tank? What's its main purpose here?
Probably at like 250, 350 meters. So that's not particularly far away, but it's medium to long distance shots. And then just being able to have clear shots to make, or even non-clear, because it's pretty accurate. I mean, not the greatest aim down time in the world, but it's pretty good nonetheless. Reload time's good as well, damage is good. It's also fairly large, so it can actually go hull down. It can, put its turret over quite a lot of large objects and make the shot. So it's a great sniping tank. It's a great damage dealing tank. I mean, it's fantastic that it is literally the personification or the tank sonification of a glass cannon. So
wow.
But yeah,
You're a disgrace.
I'm sorry, guys. I do apologize. But yeah, I mean, it's really an amazing glass cannon at the end of the day. Everyone who's played it around the battles, I'm sure, will agree with me. Tier 10 gun with 1050 HP. It's just mental.
Well, let's see if that glass cannon can do anything this time. Shanish and Apoel are starting to keep their eyes towards the south. They may put some pressure towards it, and they actually could catch out Mr. Chef if he's not killed. And he has been spotted, actually, with none in reply. So they know he's in this position, and Apoel surely going to be able to make a shell or two if he peeks up again. And that may encourage the likes of Arclit, Nuclear, Cap, and Armley to gain more presence up towards the north. And at the moment, it's a game of cat and mouse between where do we peek, where do we pressure, and keeping eyes on each other. Mr. Chef once again getting lit up. He's going to have to be careful. There's already Dead Hunter in that beautiful position that back in the day the likes of we saw Butcher doing it a couple of times, and a couple of other very big players. Elian used to love it, just kind of rotating up and over the top if they can get there, just to get those cheeky little shots across. However, we are starting to see Cap getting very close to that cap circle. Curious to see if he actually goes for it here.
Shanish also received a shell there from Nicholas Black, so damage again going the way of Schoolbus. Just like the previous round, they have got to be careful because they haven't got a lot of HP to play around with. 505 does get a shell onto him of his own. Cap's also underway by Cappy, of course, in that 59-16. Dead Hunters making sure, as well as Apwa, and I guess you could say Shanish, that Deep Tranquility can't rotate around, go through the middle and stop that Cap. So at the moment, Schoolbus are kind of crossing all those T's, dotting all those I's, doing the classic steps tactic, and I think it will work. They just need to, hold their nerve, basically.
505 trying to make a couple of shots. Apwell did receive one, but as you can see, Cap is in the cap. And 87 seconds. It's a long old cap, though. This is not going to be over too soon. Only one tank in there in the moment for Schoolbus getting the job done. Mr. Chef coming back up towards the north. It looks like DTQ are going to start considering stopping that cap soon. They know they've pulled a good couple of players down towards the south, and if they can stop this, they'll be in a great position. Mr. Chef is there now, joining the other of his rank. Gonna try and get a couple of shots in, maybe cross over towards that northwestern side if he tries his luck. I'm not sure. Is he gonna go for this one? Is he gonna try and stop it? Has he spotted out Cap? I'm not sure if he has, and Cap remains unspotted there, but the rest do show themselves, and 505 does get found.
Oh, beautiful shots there by Nuclear. He's in the perfect position to basically hold the cross between Armley, Arclit, and him. So, they still have to do the damage here. Quite a lot of tanks still remaining for Deep Tranquility. They only lost one, but DTQ are having to go forwards. They have to try and stop this one. It isn't through the southern side like most teams go for. It's actually just straight through the base. And
we're down to 5 seconds.
It's just about getting away from that one, but it's not stopping.
No, it's certainly not. 2 tanks in there now. Mr. Chef has fire coming from the right side. That's 3 tanks there, and that's another use of those charioteers just covering off Cap, and 3 seconds left. Schoolbus might cap this one out. Last second decap. Finally, the tanks are falling. The time is going to be of the essence. 7 seconds still. The pressure is on. The charioteers are being destroyed. Cap does have cover, but the move will be folding in from DTQ down to a couple, but it could be enough. 6 seconds. The cover is there. Shanish needs to hold on. The cap has been stopped. It's over. It's down to killing the opposition. There's not going to be enough time for this. They're going to have to take down the others.
That was a brilliant shot there by Doctor from the side, taking Cap off, and great stuff from him, but they still have to go forwards. Apwell doing some great damage. Nuclear's on full HP, and at the moment, the best idea for DTQ would just be to run for it.
Well, they've got 26 seconds to do so. They have a lot of tanks coming their way. They have 3 left. Can the school bus side catch up to him. Can they lock him down? There's still a good couple of tanks in this one, and Doctor has been found. Kluge in the middle of it, 15 seconds. Apwell lines up the shot, takes it, gets 2, but needs some support here, and Panzer Hunter is well off into the distance. I don't think they're going to find him. I think they know that. Shanish being left to deal with Kluge, and the others are going to try and focus on Panzer Hunter. 2 seconds left, and DTQ pick up another round. That is 2 rounds now in their pocket.
Looks like that 5-2 scoreline was someone predicted is right.
Well, for now at least.
For now, yeah, just awesome stuff from them. What can we say? I mean, a myriad of failures by Schoolbus,
Yes.
but also a myriad of successes by DTQ.
That shot from Doctor,
Just
last second.
really, for M41 Bulldog at that range, hitting that shot is just absolutely sensational from him, right in the side of the turret of the 59-16. And that's the thing. We've all been in that situation where you're putting all your eggs in one basket into the cap, and then you get reset right at that last second. Just as we saw yesterday, we're seeing again today, and we'll see it many more times in the future. But yeah, you still have to hit that shot, so it was fantastic. But you know, I was thinking, okay, they're obviously putting those 2 charioteers in there just to be able to protect cap, but it
a lot of resources
It
as well.
worked until the last 2 seconds. But I think the more logical thing would have been just for them just to retreat out of there as soon as they got reset for the first time and just gone for that damage. They would have surely won the damage game, but the capping game would have been more risky, and that's what they went for.
Maybe a little tunnel sighted again, just kind of overcommitting towards that one tactic, which may have gone better if they were willing to switch a little sooner. Now, we'll have to keep that in mind going forward if this is going to end up that way. A couple of people maybe adding some more scores to this, slowly creeping up for DTQ as I'm looking at that hashtag WGLEU on Twitter. Started out 5-0, maybe a couple of 5-1s. Now it's about 5-3, 5-5.
5-4, 5-3 to DTQ.
It's suddenly getting a little bit more and more in their favour. But then again, you could argue this is the easier side to play if you want to play that game on this map. So they've done what is to be expected and a little bit more. We expect even teams to kind of exchange a 1-for-1 round in the opening sides, and same goes for the second half. However, Schoolbus not being able to pick up 1. I don't know if this is Schoolbus playing badly or DTQ actually just doing a lot better.
It's I think DTQ playing a lot better than we've ever seen them play before.
Yeah.
They've trying new things out. I mean, 2 new tactics and 2 new rounds. First of all, going through the middle, and then instead of rotating around the south, just going straight through the cap and getting all the angles correct. That's why they won it. And then having the clear sight just to run away at the right time. So massive props to DTQ at this point in time. Schoolbus not playing particularly well.
Yeah.
Clearly that charioteer isn't particularly working for them. It's not mobile enough, and they're also committing it into bad situations a little bit too often. Now on the attacking side, of course they're going to switch it out. They're not going to have it in that one on the defending side even. So it's going to be 2 2.51s, 2 MX-3090s, a T-32, a T-54 lightweight, and finally Cappy in the T-37, that tier 6 American light tank. And from DTQ, 2 2.51s, 1 2.51, 2 MX-3090s, a T-49, 2 Bulldogs, and finally Nicholas Black playing the IS-3.
And what do you think the guys at home are feeling right now, Alex? Do you think they're kind of believing in DTQ a little bit?
I think there's an air of kind of surprise across social media and Twitch chat. I don't think people were really expecting the result. I think there's a lot of kind of 3 letters. I'm not going to kind of, I'm going to let you guess which letters they were as the results start rolling in. But
W one of them?
It certainly was.
Ah, nice.
And it ended in an F. We'll let you work the other one out. But overall, it's been it's pretty much a surprising result so far for the guys at home, and I think you guys as well on the desk.
Yeah, I think we're all in the same boat here. Let's see if DTQ can keep it up, though. That's the question. They've done well on the side they should be doing well on. Can they now really add insult to injury and take this one home to a 3-0 scoreline? That would be phenomenal, and that would destroy a lot of those predictions going on right now. So keep Alex busy, keep getting involved on Twitter, Facebook, and in Twitch chat. Spam him away. That's why we hire him for, just to be our little social media guru for the day while Melly is elsewhere. So I believe the teams are ready. Let's start looking towards getting into game as, well, this is going to be an exciting one. Let's see if DTQ can keep up the pressure. It will be Schoolbus in the north in red, in the south in blue. It will be DTQ. I'm lying to you. It'll be Schoolbus in the south in blue. No, I'm still lying to you. In the south in red. It will be DTQ. In the north in blue, it will be Schoolbus. Things are confusing and loud. But take us into what we're seeing so far.
Yeah, so a similar start we saw from the Schoolbus at the beginning and the last round. Going forwards across the left side, getting some initial spots out. And the M41s trying to find their way around this map, trying to find some Schoolbus tanks if they can. Get the initial information, very important. You can see the rest of the team are quite hesitant. Clearly, the rest of the team wants to go right. Well, make sure that they can go right if Schoolbus is going to do what we sometimes see, which is quite an aggressive push over towards the left side. They aren't, so it allows DTQ to go forwards. And Schoolbus, very heavy presence towards the trench side in the kind of 9 line and keeping themselves safe and making sure they're not getting spotted or getting too much damage to them. But they are on the defensive side. They basically need to think about 2 things. The most important one is, of course, that northern cap. And the second thing is that southern side. Make sure they have that one spotted continuously. You see Cap constantly making runs over there in the T-37. And some of the other tanks, for instance, Dead Hunter, will also be trying to keep everything safe and sound. So a good start from DTQ, a predictable start from Schoolbus. We'll have to see how they play that out.
I think it's fairly standard from both. Well, as you said, it's how do they take it from now on? How do they make the difference between a good initial start and actually winning the game? It's obviously fairly favourable to the blue side, which is Schoolbus, which I couldn't get right at the start of the game. But now I can. So they get to defend, they get to wait out the time. But Nicholas Black going pretty aggressively there out in the open, taking a shell, but also baiting one out from Arclit, and I think that might have been 505 who actually landed one towards him, or Doctor, I'm not too sure, either or. However, at the moment, I'll have to wait and see exactly how DTQ intend to take this one forward. Do you think this could be that cap game where they keep going in and out, just trying to draw out Schoolbus?
Some good damage at least. I mean, Nicholas Black received 1 as well, though, as you said, in the IS-3. And you got to remember, these 251 players will be picking HE ammo quite a lot of the time. We saw it yesterday, just because they can penetrate the counterpart 251 and also the French, the AMX 3090. It's pretty much a hot knife through butter in terms of those tanks. So, you know, Arclay got to keep himself safe. He doesn't want to release too much damage. He's basically in charge of stopping that cap. And seeing if he can actually find anything onto DTQ, maybe do some initial damage and, you know, help his team when DTQ has to push, which will be around the 2-minute mark. But DTQ's options, probably down the south a lot. You can see Mr. Chef and Panzer Hunter are heading that way towards Dead Hunter. Dead Hunter not really supported. Yes, he's got Apwell, but Apwell in the AMX 3090, not the greatest sniper in the world, is at quite some distance. So Dead Hunter is on his own. He does have to play his heart out, and he has to make sure he stays safe. Doing a little bit of damage there as well, but gives his position away, which is not ideal. And Apwell also getting spotted kind of gives DTQ a good idea of where Schoolbus is, and also 2 tier 8 tanks committed down the south means that they can push north. They can, for instance, take down Arclit.
So, 73 seconds on the cap. At this sort of point, Schoolbus not really too worried. There will be Honey in there at the moment. 1390, a big commitment. And wow, I didn't actually realise Doctor's playing that tank. I kind of asked the question, will we ever see this tank featured in a map other than Cliff? And maybe I'm going to get this one answered here. And that T-49, I love it on maps like Cliff, but as you said, it's quite unique to that map. And well, it's, at the moment, Doctor is dodging those shells like a champ there. Has already hit 1, 404 damage done. 13 seconds left, and Schoolbus are going to have to start mobilizing themselves here. Mr. Chef's dealing with the south. Nice shot comes across in the end there. And Nuclear and Armley going to start moving in. Nuclear will surely be able to land a shot, but he's going to have to make it fast. And there we have it. 17 seconds on the cap. It gets reset once, but here comes the swarm from Schoolbus moving in. 8 seconds on this one. Reset again. Doctor takes another shell. Nicholas Black on the front lines. You can see that IS-3 there just right at the front, just soaking up that damage. But will it be able to soak enough? 7 seconds. Schoolbus on the verge now. 2 seconds left. And surely this is going to be another victory in the bag for DTQ.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable stuff. That is 3-0 to DTQ. Not what I expected to be saying.
It's funny because it's exactly the tactic Schoolbus tried to use and failed miserably, and they got beaten by DTQ doing it. Just unbelievable stuff from them. I mean, what can I say? I did not expect it at all. I thought this would be a 5-0, 5-1 scoreline, but 3-0. I mean, we say it so many times before. If you go 3-0, the 3-1 or 4-0 into the next map, you're almost guaranteeing yourself a win. Or, you know, you only have to pick up 1 of the next 4 rounds to get yourself into a tiebreaker position where you can get 1 of those points or get 2 of those points if you win the tiebreaker. So unbelievable stuff from Deep Tranquility. I mean,
real play. I
would not expect it. You could see that Schoolbus was so lax. They weren't pushing forwards, and Deep Tranquility, they held their nerve. even when Nuclear made that first decapping move in that T54, he had to go left, and he was met by Nicholas back in a big chunky IS3. He was stopped in his tracks, literally couldn't go forwards, and Arclight on the right couldn't hit those shells. He wasn't spotting them because Nuclear was to the left. He should have gone over, and DTQ just had all the tanks, all the pieces in the right positions, and simply warded off the danger. Just absolutely fantastic stuff. And I have to say, you know, Dead Hunter in the north, Apple and Dead Hunter in the south weren't so useful, and they got distracted massively by those tanks for DTQ.
This is not something you often see. Someone who's tied for first place being 3-0 down to the last place in the league. DTQ are in 12th position. They have not yet picked up a win. And to see them sitting on this scoreline, it's phenomenal. I don't know what to say about that one, but get on Twitter right now. Use that hashtag WGLEU. Is this really going to go this far? Is it really going to go all the way? I don't know. I'm really not too sure. This is something we don't often see. As much as we say there's always a chance for upsets, we know generally on paper it's going to either be a close game or go the way we expect. But this is something very different. I've got to say it. I don't know if what they've done during that Christmas break, but they've come out absolutely firing on all cylinders.
Well, we know they had a lot of problems. We know that the team was struggling a lot, and they had issues here and there, and they were looking towards some roster changes. And I think they've kind of said to themselves, right, we had those seasons before, for instance, season 3, where we kind of were down and out in many respects, and we don't want to be in that situation twice, and I think that's really what's giving them some motivation. You know, when you really are on, you know, your last legs, that's really what defines you as a team. And every team has been there. You've all been to the bottom and had to get to the top at some point. So they are defining themselves as a team, and it's just really impressive stuff.
It definitely is, and I'm loving that Tier 49 in play. That T49 didn't necessarily have a huge role, but I felt it had a purpose there. Are we going to be seeing it for the final round?
Funny thing is that they used it in their previous matchup and it didn't work.
Yeah, I didn't even notice it.
No, it didn't work. I mean, it did a pretty good job there. It got somewhere 400 damage. I think for the most impressive part was the IS-3. I mean, it hit Cappy, pretty much took him out.
Yeah.
And then, you know, keeping Nuclear in that position was great. I think even WHD might have had that tactic, or a T-32 was in there by one of the teams instead. It's a great idea, and it worked perfectly for them. They are sticking to the same lineups. Nicholas Black again playing that IS-3, Doctor playing the T-49. He's just left for the garage, so he might be switching that one out. Of course, as I said, the teams can switch their tanks, and Schoolbus sticking to the same, and they do actually have to pick up a round. And,
for sure.
You know, Schoolbus have picked the GV Panther and you know, the M44 on this map as the attacker and the defender, and I'm pretty surprised that Arclight isn't using that, because I think it's more of an effective tank on this map where it is all about decapping that north cap than it is on Muravanka, where they seem to be very fond of it.
And it's weird not seeing Mr. Chef in that T49. He normally picks that one up, but maybe they're feeling it's still viable, but maybe just in someone else's hands, allowing Mr. Chef to focus on maybe leading the team a little more and being a little bit more involved in that sort of side of things. A lot of interesting factors going on today, and I think we're going to have to check in with our social media guru again just for a second while these teams get themselves ready. Is there more of those 3-letter words coming through?
No, actually, so far we're just getting lots of... I've got Hillbilly saying, get pictures of Mr. Melly and Melly. And morph them together to get the ultimate Melly. And I think that's a fantastic idea.
Ladies and gents, get on Photoshop right now.
When Melly gets in the office, I expect to have a picture of ultimate Melly on her desk.
She'll really like that.
She'll like that. So if you guys are home, she's feeling a bit unwell, we can make her feel better with a picture of ultimate Melly. I'm sure she'll love that. Anyway, moving away from Ultimate Melly, I should introduce myself, of course. Just a temporary stand-in. I see a lot of people going, this isn't Melly. Melly's voice sounds deeper. I will apologise once again. I'm just filling in so that she can have some time off. But back into what Melly does do and does very well is talking to you about the social media. So, of course, Twitter, need to get on us at that. We had a couple of people we've got a couple more actually on the hashtags. We saw actually, the game prior, we had Total Post-it saying, my heart on that cap. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, people are actually really getting involved here. I love it. Do keep coming through to us on Twitter. We absolutely love hearing from you. It does make us laugh and create the ultimate Melly. We know what you guys are like on Facebook. We've suffered at the hands of you guys with Facebook.
Many times.
When our Facebook has been swapped over.
Christmas trees,
elf
ornaments. I mean, we had pumpkins on our head at one
things.
time.
Yeah, we've made fools of ourselves. So go get photoshopping that one together. Make it happen. And here we go. Oh, ladies and gents. Oh, in the north in blue, it will be Schoolbus. In the south in red, it's DTQ. I nailed it. We're into the game. It's round number 4. What do we have going on?
We have Schoolbus, Cappy just trying to spot the south, and this is the second tactic we see from the defending side, the northern side on steps. It's a heavy push towards the north. It works quite well out if you can actually spot them out early on. Schoolbus got to hold their nerve though. They can't go too aggressive because they will be met by potentially the whole of Deep Tranquility. They spotted Panzer Hunter already, and also Nicholas back in that T-32, so they can kind of think, okay, the rest of the team must be there as well. And so far, Schoolbus has been outclassed, they've been outgunned, they've been outmaneuvered, they've pretty much been outed everything. And you know, they have to actually pick a round up here, otherwise they're really, really, really in some serious trouble. And you know, 2 games in a row where they will be losing a minimum of 1 point. And I'm sure Virtus.pro won't be making that mistake. 505 in trouble at the beginning.
A little bit of damage coming in. That's exactly what Schoolbus will be wanting. A little bit of an advantage, and it looks like Schoolbus are trying to meet that previous tactic with a slight touch of aggression, not allowing DTQ to get to those similar positions and then outplay Schoolbus. They're going to have to break through earlier on DTQ. And what do you think of this lineup? Does it have the potential to be able to break through in these close quarter combat situations that they may be forced into? Well,
if that M44 can hit anything, the M40, the M43, if it can hit anything, it certainly will. I mean, that's a big old gun there. I think it can do like 1,750 damage. Also, it will be having some pretty good premium ammo, aka gold ammo, whatever you like to call it, which will do a lot of damage. And if it doesn't directly hit, it can still splash for about 6, 7, 8 meters, which is absolutely phenomenal. But Doctor still has to hit the shells. It's extremely, extremely inaccurate. Also a long aim down time, pretty good arc in terms of, you know, its ability to turn its gun without having to move its tracks. But still a really long reloading time, so it'll only have a few shells in this game. But if it does hit, it'll do well. Shanish receiving one, but so does 505. And I think Schoolbus is holding fast. They're trying to be as mobile as possible to avoid Doctor getting the shells. You'll see that all the tanks moving back and forwards, and they're just waiting patiently for DTQ. But this might be Mr. Chef versus Cappy.
This could be a good one-on-one to win, though. Cappy there backing out. Mr. Chef moving in. Mr. Chef pretty much has all shells available to an extent. Does get good connection there. Cap trying to move out of position, and Mr. Chef has had another. He's going to push straight in for this one. Gets another. Oh, and one more shell will do it. One more shell will take it home, and that's what he needed. Mr. Chef there coming up big. Going to pick up the first, and Cap now going down quite early on in 2 games now.
3 games.
Did he get picked up in another as well?
He's died every single time. All of these rounds, so it's the 4th game that he's died almost immediately, just not having particularly good situational awareness. I mean, caught out in the middle there, and then in the previous round he got caught out in the same position, and it's not going well. But Shanish is there to try and make this one happen. Only hits the track with that HE ammo. That could have been bad for Mr. Chef, but he did get away with it quite well. He might be able to do some damage with his own. Yeah,
Cap going down, making it a little bit harder work for Schoolbus. Going to have to commit that 251 over towards the east. But while all this goes on, Panzer Hunter is on the way. Mr. Chef is buying time, getting a lot of damage done in that Bulldog. This is beautiful play from Mr. Chef coming in. And more damage. My God, Mr. Chef. Beautifully done. 2 picked up there for him on his own pretty much. He just outplayed Shanish.
Don't ever, ever underestimate the Bulldog. And that was that splash I was talking about for the M40. You know, he wouldn't have won that one-on-one. He won it because Doctor hit that shell, because he splashed him. That allowed Mr. Chef to have that last shell. You know, he took Shanish down to a one-shot for the Bulldog, the M41 Bulldog. And then he finished him off. Fantastic work by Mr. Chef. Staying put, hitting those shells, not being scared, knowing that he won't be able to run away from the 251 because it's just so quick. And Tier 7 versus Tier 8, and he comes away with a really, really good result. And yeah, the perfect start for Deep Tranquility right now.
Oh, I bet they're going to be loving this. Something they don't expect. A bit of a surprise overall. And there's the Cap starting up. Panzer Hunter probably not going to have the best of time here. I don't know why he's trying to pull this one apart. Maybe to allow 505 Nicholas Black to come in on the backside. If we swing across to the right, Panzer Hunter is in trouble. He will probably go down here. I wouldn't be too surprised. But up in towards that west side, it's going to be going down and surely going to go into the favor of DTQ. They need to make this one count. Armley in a good position, though. They may have kind of spread themselves a bit too thin here.
Yeah, but still 3 versus 1, and Armley will be out of shells very quickly if he doesn't be careful. He's playing, not out of shells, he's playing the 251, but Arclit will be down very quickly, and Armley will have to try and scamper out of there. 1 minute and 43 seconds left for DTQ to make this happen. It's still going okay for them. It's 3 for 2 at the moment. But I think Schoolbus are kind of hanging on there in terms of the HP is pretty good. And of course, Doctor is playing their M40, so he's not really a combat tank. And not a lot of time to play around with. Another shell coming in from Doctor.
Oh.
Skims the top of Applewell and he takes off 84 HP.
He's having a good game so far, I'm going to say it. This guy's really impressed me. Someone that I don't necessarily recognize on a regular basis. He's playing well, and Armley, right now in that 1v1 with Hanyi, is going to go down. More shells coming into play, and I'd love to see what Doctor's sitting on in damage-wise at this point, just out of curiosity. And Mr. Chef there, 1k already after those 2-kill pickups, and Doctor being the supporting factor. I'm not sure what HP he's on. Hopefully we can actually have a little look on towards him in a second's time. While that cap does begin, 46 seconds, 3 still remain, but you can't count the likes of Applewell, Dead Hunter, and Nuclear out of this.
Well, they just about got in there in time. 3 tanks will also bring it down further to about 30 seconds. And this is going to put the pressure on to Schoolbus massively. Dead Hunter's going to have to bring up big things for his team. Nicholas back, though, in support.
It's all about buying time now.
If he can keep them back, and he is playing the T-32, so pretty good tank, not a lot of HP. It's about a 3-shot, and Dead Hunter might have to actually go for him first. Nicholas back will be in a good position there, but Doctor is caught out, does get taken down the M40. That's a good sign for Schoolbus.
But Dead Hunter's getting through scot-free. He's going to have a second to make this shot. He's going to take it. He doesn't land it, and DTQ 4-0. Schoolbus, what has just happened to you? Oh my God.
I hope they've won it.
Yeah,
I think they've won it. I think they've won it. Yeah, they have. I was just checking. I mean, it
goes to 0, but then it gets a little nerve-wracking.
I'm a little, well, I mean, because there's sometimes a little bit delay between the kind of observer mod we have and then the side. I mean, if it's down to that wire, sometimes it can't go too well for them. But that was a defeat there for Schoolbus, just confirming it now via that base capture. I mean, 4-0 to DTQ. I mean...
Match point for DTQ, this is the last in the league.
This is ridiculous. I mean, we're literally gobsmacked, guys. I mean, I would never have predicted this in a million years.
No.
This is like... If
this was on CSGO Lounge, someone would be
Norwich
very rich.
City beating Manchester City. It just doesn't work. I don't know what to say.
What is going
this is like
on.
England winning a World Cup, guys. That's how incredible it is.
That is literally it. That is pretty much what we've got going on
here.
here.
This is pretty sick.
Unbelievable stuff. DTQ coming out like champions on this. And let's be serious here. I want to mention the next map being Cliff. We'll be having a short break in between. But just to mention, those guys can play Cliff. They may not always pick up the victories, but they only need to pick up 1 more round out of 4. They've got to... statistically, they should be able to do it.
Well, they've got 1 point in the bag right now. Yeah. Minimum. That's the minimum they're going to be walking away with this today.
That's going to get them on the heels of EPS. That's terrifying. EPS could get overtaken by DTQ.
Yeah, no one have expected that. It's pretty insane. I mean, EPS, they were second in the online stage of Season 4, so incredible stuff. And of course, attacking will be Schoolbus's next choice on Cliff, I believe. So the defensive side, it worked quite well for a lot of the teams yesterday on Cliff, so it may be working well for DTQ. We'll have to see how they play out. A lot of the teams went aggressive, kind of caught the attacking team out. See if they do that this time as well. But one of the next 4 rounds needs to go the way of DTQ. Even statistically, that's quite likely.
Wow, what a game. You guys at home must be loving this. Alex, how are people out there doing? Are they starting to kind of reconsider their votes at this point?
Well, I mean, people are saying we got 3-0 up against probably the best EU team. Now, if they hold on for at least 1 point, it's a massive step forward for the league for DTQ. And I think that's a great statement. At the moment in chat, the only thing people are saying is just how... in fact, all they're asking for is codes. So that's all that chat's doing. But we'll ignore that entirely until you start. Oh, hang on. DTQ is performing. So there's a lot of kind of positive stuff for DTQ. Not so much negative stuff for Schoolbus, though. And so that's something worth highlighting, though, guys. Do be sure to chime in with your thoughts on the game and that result as well. The hashtag WGLEU. I'll be checking them thoroughly.
So, guys, we're going to go to a very short break. But when we're back, we'll be kicking off with map number 2 between Schoolbus and DTQ. And welcome back, guys. We are midway through. Well, it's midway on paper, but it doesn't feel like around midway through our first game of the day here between Schoolbus and DTQ. And can you believe it? The scoreline is 4-0 in favour to DTQ. The team who are last in the league, yet to claim a win, are currently beating the second in the league, tied for first.
Yeah, and the
Unreal.
Season 4 champions, Rumble in the West champions.
Yeah.
Season 1 champions.
Yeah.
Season 2 didn't quite make it there. Season 3 second place. I mean, these guys are really the top echelons of the top echelons. I guess you could even say that they're WCG, when that existed, champions. They managed to beat out Worcester in the finals there. So they are quite good at this game, some would argue. But 754 clearly proving its test against them. And I guess for me, this is really that thing where they started the season off very well with those new players. You know, they had a lot of motivation, a lot of energy going forward.
The honeymoon period has faded.
Everyone knows the honeymoon period. It's faded miserably. And now they're kind of stuck in that actually like, wait a minute, we actually have to have synergy and we have to play well all the time. You know, we have to, deal with our real lives and deal with the game at the same time and, kind of get that gel which you need as a good team together. But they still have a chance, a very slim chance here. They've got 4 rounds on Cliff to play around with, and they need to win all 4 of them to actually just level up here.
Even you guys on Twitter right now are going crazy about this. Siege saying, as it seems, mid-season lineup changes worked out well for DTQ. Schoolbus has to put out some serious play now. And Siege knows pretty well. He's obviously in Worcester, who've been sitting fairly close to the top throughout this entire season. Yep. And a little bit of a nod towards the DTQ guys that they're on the right path. And we've been saying that I think it's Doctor, who they picked up, is one of the new players, is absolutely doing wonders. When he picked up, I think it was Artillery, he was in for a little while.
Played the M40, yeah.
He's been in a couple of varying tanks, but he's just kind of filling that little bit of a role.
He actually won almost 2 of their games there. Brilliant shots from him in the M40. I mean, of course, he could have done a little bit better there with that. But you remember, he also decapped when Schoolbus was on the offensive with that M41 Bulldog. So, yeah, I mean, he's minimum won them 1 game already. Very, very good stuff from that new player for sure. Very
impressive. And once again, guys, get on Twitter, get involved with us, hashtag WGLEU. I want to know what you're thinking about this, because this is not something we see every week. It doesn't happen. We rarely see someone from the bottom taking down players at the top. It's just not a normally done thing. But now it's a new map. It's a new day. And you've got to kind of keep in mind that, let's say DTQ did a lot of work on that first one. That was one where they put all the hours in. Have they done the same on Cliff, do you think?
I think I'm surprised they did pick steps in the first place, because they haven't particularly been good at it for a very long time. I mean, maybe when they were known as Team WD, they were pretty good. Cliff, I think it suits their playstyle a little bit better because they're a little bit more aggressive, but Schoolbus yesterday, they seemed to do very well. They lost 1 game, but they came back against Drooling Leprechauns on Cliff and managed to win 3 rounds there. So 3 out of 4 is not bad at all. A little bit of a lineup change though coming in. Dark God Sim is going to be switching for Dead Hunter. So Dark God Sim going in, Dead Hunter going out, and a little bit surprising. I mean, Dead Hunter was with them at the Season 4 finals. I thought he performed well, but clearly he maybe has some internet issues or something like that, and they want to have Dark God Zim, who is really the team manager for Schoolbus, as one of their tier 8 plays. He's actually picking up an AMX 1390. No changes for DTQ right now. I believe the lineups are coming in very shortly as well.
And who's playing what tank here? Is Doctor going to be on it or Mr. Chef? You know which tank I'm talking about, the T49.
T49 is going to be played by Doctor.
So that's going to be another change, because Mr. Chef would always play it on this map, and he's had marvellous games on it. So keep your eyes on Doctor, see how he plays it, has he got a different flair to it. And what do you think of this new player coming to the lineup? Because so far he's been certainly turning heads, Schoolbuses that is, as they've been rolling off their shoulders throughout this game. However, it's a new map now. This changes everything. Schoolbus are competent on this, but will they be competent enough? Another big question that hopefully we'll find an answer to any second now. The teams are ready. They are getting themselves into the server. Keep those predictions coming through to us on Twitter. Use that hashtag WGLEU. I cannot stress it enough. Let us know your thoughts on this map, these lineups, these new players, whatever's really getting your attention. And let's turn ours to the game. We are now into it. And in the north, in blue, it will be Schoolbus. And in the south, in red, it's DTQ leading 4-0.
It's just weird to my eyes to say that. I can't. I know it doesn't even come off the tongue right. DTQ 4-0 against Schoolbus, and they are going for the lower road. So anyway, a lot of tanks there. We usually see like 3 tanks there because it kind of overmatches the 2 which you see from the north. But DTQ with 4 from the south. We did see Utopia use this one against Cancer Crew, worked out quite well for them. Maybe they're going to do it again. Panzer Hunter there on his own though. But 2 tanks staying back. That's interesting with Chef going forwards. Cappy and Arclit being found. So Chef will be able to get some good initial damage, but also get caught out by Cappy a little bit. And it's going pretty well for DTQ right now.
I don't think Cappy wants to challenge down Mr. Chef. We know what happened before. He's going to probably back out of this one. But now the reinforcements are there. And Mr. Chef is doing beautifully. Even Arclit taking a little bit. Panzer Hunter is down low, however, so it's fairly equal. But the shells are now starting to rain in. Surely this is going to happen. Cappy is down to nothing. Surely he will fall. Hanyu moves in for it. But now Arclit and Armley are there waiting for more. It's a 1-for-1 exchange so far. But who's going to take it ahead?
But Zim's taking a lot of damage, and pretty much the whole of Schoolbus is taking a lot of damage. Zim's down to about 50% HP, 40%. Overall, DTQ are leading by probably about a tier 8 tank in terms of damage. Nuclear is not really connecting those shells with the T-49, and DTQ need to hold their nerve. They need to keep the damage down. They're going for Shanish.
And Mr. Chef been a phenomenal little bit of a piece in the puzzle thus far. Shanish is a one-shot. Oh, if only Mr. Chef landed that one shell a little sooner. Oh, he doesn't even get the damage he wants. Finally, he goes down, but Mr. Chef is doing the damage. But look at this. So far, it's fairly equal. DTQ down maybe a tank here, but Honey is still just about alive.
Yeah, Mr. Chef had to hit that shell. If he did, it may mean that his teammate survived in that situation. That mean Nicholas Mack could have been alive to do a little bit more damage here. Now, DTQ is kind of in a weird position. Some of their tanks are north, some of their tanks are south. They need to keep themselves together here. And Armley does fall, so that is a good little bit of an engagement for them. And they are at least one tank ahead. I really want to see what 505 can do. And Doctor needs to push forwards. He needs to engage onto Dr. Lapopus. Cluj is in a great position because he can keep Nuclear basically pinned down in that position.
Well, this is crunch time now. This is normally where Schoolbus become a bit of a beast, but let's see what he can do here.
Fell as well.
Yeah, this is changing around. I think that was Doctor who came in, and 505 overextends a little. Doctor needs to get another shell in here, ideally towards Nuclear, who's sitting a lot of HP. I think that's what he's looking for. Dark God Zim and Applewell are there. 505 still has a bit of HP though. What
they should do is basically flank around the right side. You can already see Applewell is retreating back there because he's going to go into that hold down position because it's the most obvious route of attack and the best route of attack. It's very hard to go across this middle area for the attacking team, so you need to kind of come around, and then you can get side and back shots onto the tank sitting below this lighthouse.
I'm surprised they haven't just put Hanyu maybe up towards, you know, that A2 area as well, maybe to chip away at Nuclear. I'm not sure if they still expect maybe someone towards that northwest side. We've seen it doing real wonders for anyone who's split up there, maybe with a Bulldog or such. Maybe they just want to keep the numbers with the 1390, but Doctor, dangerous peeking. Got to be careful, he's a vital member in this one. They need him in this game.
And the problem is that they did send Hanyu up to A2. They would need someone to proxy spot, and it would be Mr. Chef or Doctor putting themselves at risk into a 50-meter proxy spot position, and they could possibly go down. So if they had a little bit more HP, I'm sure they would be going for that. Instead, they're going to try and go around.
Oh, Applewell's going
first
low
on the chopping board, and does find himself goes down.
And now 2v4. This could be game. This could be DTQ beating Schoolbus 5-0. If they can find those two players.
Look how low they all are, though. I mean,
they could easily change this around.
Doctor a one-shot, Heine one-shot, Mr. Chef one-shot. Kluji can take 2, as can 505, luckily. But Nuclear's still on a lot of HP, but he is playing the T-49, so he'll only have one shot to make before he will probably go down in short succession. And 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on that clock. It's still a lot of time. Mr. Chef will have now a chance to peek, do some damage of his own as Nuclear is on reload. You
can tell how cautious DTQ are at this point. They know that they're very low on HP. They cannot risk going out on a limb at times. And Schoolbus praying for a mistake, praying for an error to come out of the opposition. And Nuclear just waiting.
And he's going to go for the cap in the south, I believe.
Yeah, not a bad idea either.
Not even.
As these two down on options. Mr. Chef does get one towards Nuclear. Good start there. Nuclear does have a shell to make, though. And tentative stuff. 2 minutes now remain. Cap has begun. And Doctor getting a little bit more anxious here. They need to make a move out of this. Nuclear's rolling off now. He's going to try and find Doctor, and he might be able to get the shot here if he commits. Mr. Chef now realizing he's out of position.
He's a little bit slow to the take as well. Could be in trouble.
Could go wrong. Nuclear takes another from Mr. Chef. Dark God Sim is still waiting here, bearing in mind. Oh, big shell comes out in the end. from Doctor, I believe. And now Dogzod has to go into the action, has to go into the fight. He does get one on the push-off, but he does receive a shell from Mr. Chef in the meantime, I believe, if not 5:05. And now 70 seconds left. He's got to pull off a bit of a miracle here, but he can certainly do this.
Well, he may be able to do it, but just receive one from the side of Hyena. Now, one of these two needs to peak. One of them needs to commit and take him down.
You've got to be the bait, and that'll do it. Mr. Chef claims it for DTQ, and they pick up a 5-0 victory over Schoolbus.
Unbelievable. I mean,
Alex is dying in the background. He doesn't understand what's happening.
It's ridiculous scoreline. I honestly never expected this. 5-0. We thought 5-1 or 5-0 to Schoolbus at the beginning, but DTQ played unbelievably, almost no mistakes through it. It wasn't like Schoolbus played even badly, but you could see straight away it's Schoolbus trying new lineups as if DTQ was a bad team and getting punished horribly in the first two matches, and then it just went downhill from there.
I don't know. I don't even know what to make of this. What does that mean for the league as well? I want to quickly look at the rankings. So 3 points would be what you get from this.
Yeah.
So DTQ will overtake Evil Panda Squad. They'll now be on par with Momentum and only 2 points behind DRL.
Yeah, and also, you know, those we were saying, you know, from like 3rd down to 9th, it's really close.
Now
WSD is playing next against Druid Leprechaun, so WSD is on 9 points. They can actually go up the table quite quickly and, you know, sit just below Wusa, just with Wusa's points.
If they get a clean win as well, that's huge. They go up to possibly top 3 almost.
Exactly. I mean, you know, you're really biting at Schoolbus's heels there. It's a win they needed at the end of the day, and now I think they really put themselves in that possibility of not being in the top 2 spot, which is really what they were gunning for at the beginning of the season.
Unbelievable stuff. DTQ, congratulations, guys. That was stunning play from you. Really coming out and showing exactly what can happen when you put in the hard work. Maybe utilizing that break a little better than Schoolbus, because they look like they fixed all the issues. Doctor came out strong in that game. For a debut performance, I think he's showing some real potential to carry on. So hopefully we get to see more of him going forward. But Alex, how are the people at home finding this one? I know they're catching up. There's still a little bit of a delay there.
No, you're right.
But how are they finding this so far?
I think there's one comment that really stands out to me, and it's just simply, this is ridiculous. I think this is kind of overarching opinion where everyone sat there not really like questioning, are the scores right? Is this correct? And so, yeah, we've got a lot of I don't believe are the scores. Yeah, I don't believe are the scores correct. So we have people questioning whether the scores are correct. I think that's kind of statement to how surprising this result is. If you guys want to kind of let us know more about how that game went or how your opinions of perhaps the performance from Schoolbus, do be sure to get us on all channels. You can get us on Twitter with the hashtag WGLEU, Facebook as well with the facebook.com/WGLEU, and I'm looking forward to reading your responses, and I'll be getting to them as we go through to Game 2.
And speaking of that Game 2, coming up after a short 10-minute break, we'll be kicking off with Drooling Leprechauns up against WSD Gaming, and that can affect those rankings hugely. So do not go too far away. Put that kettle on, make a cup of tea, and make sure you're back here in 10.